Okay, welcome everyone. We'll start our third lesson on LO3 Unit 3, Strategic Human Resource Management. My name is Anjum Satar. My email address, in case if you need me, please drop me an email. So before starting our lesson, first recap what we learned up to now. So last lesson we discussed about be able to create human resource plan. We discussed how we can create effective human resource HR plan and HR planning. Why that planning is important. We discussed different requirement in our organization context, which we discuss about mission, visions, corporate value. Any human resource plan need to be linked with overall corporate objective of organization. We discuss and we try to prepare the human resource plan as well. We discussed during our last lesson. LO1 we already discussed. The lesson was recorded available on Moodle, so please go through as well, where we discuss about the importance of human resource and the purpose of organizations. Also today we'll go through LO3. LO3 is be able to discuss the role of legal and ethical issues. So we'll go through legal and ethical issues. Think about in HR, lot of things changed last few years. So in most important asset in our organization is human resource, HR. So as the people, we have a right people for the right job. It helps us to achieve our organization objective effectively. So today lesson we'll go through legislation, we go through HR policies, and we'll discuss ethical issues, how we can address these. So that's our LO3, and then will be two more LOs which we'll go through in the following lesson. So this is inductive content, so please when you do your assignment, please go through as well. So today we'll discuss within our LO as well. So anybody, any question?
No.
Okay, we'll start. Welcome everyone. We'll start our LO3, which is lesson 3. Be able to discuss the role of legal and ethical issues, developing human resource. So what do you think? What are the legal issues which we need to keep in mind if you recruit someone?
Employment rights, minimum wage, and
national minimum wage, yes. Yes, sorry. Yes.
Working time directive, the EU directive.
Brilliant. So all these there are many things, which we need to keep in mind. So first three LO3 and 3.1 assessment criteria explain purpose of human resource policy. What is first we need to really know what is the human resource itself. Like a lot of companies use, our people are our great asset. Nothing is more important than our employees. Or effective human resource management has become a more important in recent time. Here are some reasons why it's becoming important. Most of the businesses now provide the services rather than the produced goods. So they need a quality staff to meet the needs and the wants of the customer. So to fulfill what they expect and the expectations from the company. So competitiveness requires a business to be efficient and productive, and this is difficult unless the workforce is well motivated. So workforce only can be motivated if we work in the best interest of the workforce, has the right skills and is effectively organized. The move toward the fewer layer of management, so few management, so quite close relationship with employees, so we can delegate powers as well to employees. So we need to be look around those. So human resource management is usually HRM defined according to CIPD. Do we know CIPD? What is my CIPD stand for?
The Chapter Institute of Personal Development, isn't it?
Brilliant. Yes, it is. It's quite popular, and so they have separate qualification, CIPD, different levels. So the design, implementation, and maintenance of strategies to manage people for optimum business performance. So we need to be managed. to get the maximum performance. So we discussed of lesson performance consists of time, cost, and quality. So we need to look around in terms of time, cost, and quality of our employees, quality of service, quality of delivery. The key, remember, human resource strategic approach, HR use the variety of tools which help the business to achieve. So workforce planning, we need to make sure workforce planning document in place within our organization. Recruitment and selection policies within our organization need to be in place. Recruitment and selection. What do you think? What is the key difference between recruitment and selection?
I don't really know. I've not thought about it. I always use as one word.
Yes, but recruitment start, when we write the job description with the job advert. Selection is selecting from the staff pool. Yes, we have a lot of people now we are selecting for final recruitment. So training and development. So what do you think about training and development difference?
Well, training is the need training, but development is developing the people who are already there, developing further training, further development, further. I think training is initial. Development is further training.
Brilliant. The training is short term and development is a long term. So we want to develop people in the long term. They can sustain, they will stay in our organization. So training, we teach them how to operate, and development, how they will carry on continuous improvement. So rewarding and motivating staff. So we can reward and motivate, communication, role and responsibility, organization structure. All these are the part of human resource management. So what is the recruitment? All firms know that the recruitment very best applicant can help to give the firm a competitive edge over their rivals, their competitors. So we need to make sure we have a right staff to ensure that the most suitable candidates apply. How we'll make sure suitable employees will apply? So we need to find the best source of advertising. It's not only the metro newspaper we just advertise. We just need to make sure we advertise on different media, a different mode of communication we'll use, so we can find the right person for the right job at right time. So we need to go through. If we are want to be recruit engineers, we need to make sure those are engineering magazine we advertise, so people read them, so at least they know and they have information. What the jobs involve, job description is very crucial. We design the job description that match with the roles and reflect what sort of the skills and abilities we required, and within individual those are applying, so at least we can shortlist them accordingly. The quality of ideal candidates, personal specification which we need to keep in mind. The most appropriate method of recruitment, internal and external. Internal, we can recruit people from internally. Like if people are working in different department, they have a different role, but they have a qualification and ability. So we can, for the next role, we can recruit internally. So that's a less costly process. People are well aware of the culture. Instead of we'll make them redundant, now we can recruit them within our organization. We can train them because overall their commitment more with the organization, and we can retain them longer period of time. Any question? So in managing the recruitment process, a business has to balance the needs and attract the best applicant against the cost of the process. Okay, recruitment and selections. So vacancy arise, job description is a written or revised, personal specification is a written, what individual qualities we required within applicant. Advertisements are drawn and placed in appropriate media, internal and external. Application forms are issued and the CVs and the letter of applications are requested. Shortlisting take place, interviews are held and testing take place, and selection take place and appointment is made. So that's the recruitment and selection process. So what is the selection itself? The selection process is about the choosing the right candidates for the job. The cost of selection are considerably is quite high, so but the cost of the wrong decisions are even greater. So if we don't choose the right person with the right skills and ability, with the right mindset, ultimately that create a many problem in our organization. So what we think, how much is cost, to select a recruitment average? What do you think as a financially, how much is cost us to recruit one employee?
£10 in terms of this, the cost of the ongoing process, including the start time for shortlisting, for interview, for the advert, is about £5,000.
Well done, around £5,000. So sometimes people not staying in our organization more than 2 months. So we need to make sure we have at least we recruit the right, because it's a retention. If we have a very poor retention, 60-80% people are leaving, so it's costing our organization in millions. So we need to make sure our selection process is appropriate. Hello, welcome. Okay. Next, now we're looking the contract of employment. Contract of employment in policies we need to be in place when we're supposed to give the contract of employment. Contract of employment is a legal document. They're supposed to be contract itself is a offer and acceptance. Company offer and the employees accept it. Everything that's the legal binding document. It's by law we are responsible to provide it, and all the term and conditions should be written. So that is the main their employment within 2 months starting. Whoever entitled by law to be given a written statement setting out the main particular on their employment within 2 months must we need to be. If we don't do it, we are going to break the law. Of course, even the day first we need to be. What are the rights and responsibility of employees under the contract of employment? So always we need to be look around right of employees, maternity rights. So we need to be look around with the law as well, legislation, paternity and rights, flexible working. Do we need to give the flexible working?
Is a law. You have to, depends on the need of the organization.
Brilliant. So flexible working hours is a legislation, and it depends if we are running in shifts. If employees requested on to work in different shifts, we should provide them. We need to make a necessary arrangement. We don't. If everyone apply for the certain shift, then of course we can't run it. Maybe as an employer we have a right to say no, because of course we need to keep in mind the business needs as well. Trade union representation, so it's as a company it's our responsibility to provide trade union options as well, because a lot of employers are hit, but it's a law by law. We can't really discriminate if anybody is a trade union member. Grievances procedures we need to be in place. Those are compliance procedures within an organization. If we don't, of course, the legislation. Minimum pay, we must need to pay national minimum wage. If we not pay, how much is the national minimum wage for 25 plus?
8.21. 8.21 from this last month.
Oh, last one. So it's increased now. So 8,021 pence. So we need to make sure we pay maximum working weeks. So we need to make sure clearly written how many weeks we supposed to be work. Like in teaching and other professions, depends. Like we have a 32 weeks delivery and some other admin and holidays. All the paid holidays will be paid if you're on your payroll. Industrial actions, what we can as an organization, as an employer. So all we need to be the responsibility of employers to work, to contract, to be ready and willing to work, to use the reasonable care and skills, to obey the law's order, to take care of the employer's property, and to act in good faith. By the term of the contract of employee, these are express terms, those are written, and as we must need, as employees, we must need to follow. So because first learning outcome 3-point assessment criteria, where we need to discuss about the policies, and those policies is all about to promote the best practices. So the advisory, have we heard about ACAS?
Yeah.
So code of practice, which we as an employer we need to follow as well. Employer and employee should be act consistently. Employer should be carried out the necessary investigation, establish the facts of the case. If we should have a policies in place. Employer should inform employees of the basis of the problem and give them an opportunity to put their case. So always they need to be provided, not really dismissed without any reason. They have to explain then why they are going to. Employers should allow employees to be accomplished at any formal disciplinary or the grievances meeting. They can even take the union person as well or external if they want to. So employers should allow an employees to appeal against formal decision. If not, if they don't provide us, they can take to the employment tribunal. So all these are the code of practice must we need to be follow, and it should be embedded in our policies. Any question?
No.
Okay, so 3.1 was just policies, and 3.2, which will go through the legal requirement on human resource policies by law, what sort of legislation. So as earlier we mentioned, type of contract, employment contract need to be, it's a written, it's a part-time, need to be home working. What are the advantages, disadvantages? As a business, we can give the option to employees teleworking. Nowadays, permanent or the temporary contract. If it's a temporary, after how many months, will be permanent. All this need to be in a contract. Term time working, annual hours, how many hours you're supposed to be work, teleworking, working from home, breaks from employment, what will be policies and procedures as law. So in our organization, that's very, very crucial now. Disciplinary and the grievances issues, those need to be tackled and the policies should be in place. It's a legal requirement of employer to give the workers the written statement of dismissal. If any disciplinary actions we want to take or grievances procedures against, we should provide the book, employment contract, and written statement or the staff handbook. Staff handbook most of the company provide, and everything should be written, because otherwise we can take this case to the employees as many rights really we need to be look around, we can take to the employment tribunal. So employee must be given the right to appeal, like earlier we grievances procedures. Employer must be grievances procedures in place and inform employees. So they're supposed to be independent compliance procedures, and the complaint should be written, and compliance employees first must be listened within our organization before going to external employment tribunal. So employees need to be can complain within our organization first, and employer responsibility to reply. Okay, then according to Employment Act 1972, Employment Protection Act 1975 state the employer must explain any disciplinary procedures if the employer want to. Employees must be clearly informed the consequences of breaking these rules. If they, that's a carry on, because a lot of things sometimes we without reading the contract we can sign it, and that create a problem. So we must need to be clearly explain, copy of contract, signed copy within we have, and the employees should have a copy as well. If any question, any issues arise, so we must dismissal, written warning. So warning carry on. Dismissal procedure, employee must be dismissed for number of reasons. Unfair reasons such as joining trade union thus is unfair. If the industrial tribunal find the person has been dismissed unfairly, it has the power to reinstate the employees, and some reasons are lawful. This may include the misconduct because of the employees incapable of doing a job. A period of notice is required, but the length will vary depending on how long the employee has worked for business. Health and Safety Act. Whose responsibility? Health and safety.
But both the employer and the employee.
Yes, both employer and employees, and health and safety, everyone need to be safe, and everyone need to be look around their actions what leads towards a health, and the employer need to be health and policies in place, and the employer must provide the training about health and safety and provide the necessary equipment those will protect, and that's the requirement. And under the employment law, if they don't, then of course, the claim will goes against the employer. So that's a lot of, companies paying injury claims and various things. It's cost in millions. So always, various solicitors, they motivate them to put in place as well, because they know the legislation inside within employment law, like safety shoes and safety gloves or glasses or various other equipment if they don't provide it. Then further, these been summarized. Now, fairness and protection during employment, and employees has a number of rights throughout their term of employment which you need to be aware, and we can lose unlawful discriminate, that's pay between male and female gender. That's discriminate based on the ethnicity. Discrimination that can be goes to employment tribunal, and it's a huge, this is carry on happening. Many companies paid millions. So we need to be, as an organization, we need to make sure we have a clearly procedures and compliance procedures in place. Health and Safety Act, of course, duty of care towards employees or anyone else may be affected. Data protection. Can we sell the data of old employees, or we can sell data to pension company or insurance company or employees data? Lot of companies used to sell it, but under data protection, that's a crime. So they're not supposed to sell it under new data protection regulation, GDPR. So we need to be make sure, we're not really even pass the information without the notice of employees. If we are moving payroll or various other in other part of the world outside EU, we supposed to be get the permission from Information Commission Office, and those legislation supposed to be in place, and our employees supposed to be well aware of these. Under the information consultation of employees regulation, employer with the 50s or more employees must be written statement specified main term and condition of the employee, itemized pay statement, health and safety information about the business, economic situation, employment prospect. All this need to be explained. If they don't do, and plan collective redundancies if we want, and transfer the business ownership. Any question? Okay. So next we're looking the family and friendly laws. These falls under the number of heading: maternity rights, adoption rights, parental leave, paternity leave and pays, and the right to request work flexible. So an employee is expecting child has a number of rights provided legislation. Reasonable paid time off. We need to look around protection from the discrimination on the ground of, because that thing carry on happening. Actually, this sometimes employer don't want to recruit if they're expecting. So that's a come under discrimination. If anything and the job description match it, and we are not inviting for interview, that can also become under the discrimination. So it's now the right is up to 52 weeks. and the right of maternity leave for up to 39 weeks, subject to qualification. So we need to be follow these legislation. If we don't, so we are going to, and that case will be against us. So all this, of course, is a families and various other legislation. Recently, a lot of things changed. So we need to make sure, we should follow, because otherwise we need to pay damages. So that's all, we need to follow the legislation. Right to flexible working, emergency leave. Yes, we can't really enforce, if someone, husband, wife, or partner sick, and we must need to provide the leave. If that's why is a lot of companies struggling, and some employees, so like they have to pay uh, wages and salaries. Leaving organization, and employees may leave employment of their own or dismiss with or without notice. What mean the contract of employment is terminated. An unfair dismissal, when the employee is dismissed and the employer does not have a valid reason. Dismissal are acted unreasonably. Fair and unfair reasons for dismissal. Misconduct, ability to do job, redundancy, retirement, legal restrictions, and some other substantial reasons. So we need to be these. We can. Any question about legislation? There are number of legislation. Redundant. Can be redundant if somebody is work less, recently joined, and someone is very old employee. Can we redundant the person recently joined?
It depends on what the needs of the organization, isn't it?
Yes, so we really not discriminate somebody recently joined and few weeks in our organization. We need to be. That's why a lot of companies they want voluntary redundant. So what is the rule to make the payment? Is every 12 months of employment at least 1 week salary. That's the general rule. Plus age factor. If someone's higher age by time by 40 plus, time by 4. So always we need to be, when we are the companies or organization going to be make us redundant, we must need to go through and read the legislation, and it's employer responsibility as well to provide it. And they try to be make certain arrangement. If they can't, it's not viable for business to sustainability of business, then of course they can make redundant, but they have to pay redundant salary and benefits.
Of course.
Okay, then next we look in 3.3, assess the impact of ethical requirement on human resource policy. Here we're looking at ethics is a moral principle. That's not come under legislation. That's come under moral. Moral principles is it's not a crime, but is a civil matters maybe, and is ethically is an employer responsibility to be flexible. So in the world, increasing reporting corporate scandal, there even a more recognition and the need to develop sustainable organization practices to deliver the long-term value, and not only the term of the profit, but for the benefit range of the stakeholder, including people and the wide society. HR and the people professionally placed on embedded the principal decision making on daily organization. Ethics are at the heart of the professionalism. So like in accounts we have ethics, in HR we have ethics as well. Need to be demonstrate the integrity is the honesty with the organization and with the stakeholders when advising the leaders and the people implications business decision, in order to create a culture of transparencies and trust. Thus we need to be make sure. But there's a lot of things happening, like recently Trillions pension scandals, other sports direct implying more youngster people for the sake of saving money and not giving them permanent contract, even not holidays, just hourly contract. So that been was in media as well. So they are changing fact sheets, explore what is ethical practices mean and why it is important in the organization. Trade-off involve upholding ethical values. Of course, that's organization challenges faced by HR professional. So we look all about the profession. We can create ethical environment and ethical culture within our organization. Conflict between colleagues is it's carry on happening, and imagine the example of employees tell you that the managers, a high level executive, had treated them unfairly. A situation likely they required you to be engaged and conversation. Always we need to be we involve. Ethical leaders mean being confident in your moral decisions and effective communication. Always we need to communicate them to employees. Always we need to be look around according to the Institute of Ethics. So they always looking the ethical side. So ethical decision required to be things, commitment, the desire to do the right thing regardless of the cost. So always in our organization to do ethical is a very costly process as well. But as an organization, we're supposed to be have a values, and that's we need to be. So awareness act consistently and apply the moral actions to the daily behavior. So we need to make sure we'll provide the fair chance of promotion to everyone. The wages, of course, that's a legal side as well, but we're supposed to be provide the safe environment, and we need to be make sure the will work in the best interest. Then of course we need to be follow codes of practice, ACS. So raise and deal with the issues promptly, act consistently, and carried out the investigation. If we need to write up an appeal, we must provide. So we're supposed to have a meeting if we need to, and that we should provide. Ideally 3 days written notice if we need to be give full details. We need to be include the copies of evidence and say if dismissal is possible and right to accomplish. So we need to be a fellow. Workers, ministry, and union reps all have a right to individuals and meeting review your evidence. Of course, we can and question. Any question on these points?
No, it's okay.
Yes, as the employer and the employees, we need to be cooled down. We have issues. We need to be try to be resolved. Always need to be make sure how we resolve the issues within. It's instead going outside because they affect our own goodwill as well as the employees' goodwill. So we need to make sure the things will keep it within our organization. And secret recording is any action is warranted, reasonable sanctions confirm in written, state the reason and improvement expected, set the time for review if the fails to improve, and remain current for limited time and the right of appeal. Gross misconduct, immediately dismissal for first offense, and follow a fair disciplinary procedures, and no notice or the notice pay will be due. So we need to make sure to follow the policies and procedures. Those are in place within our organization, and we must need to communicate to employees. They are well aware of all these. It will change anything, so we should inform and we should get the signature. Grievances, like we earlier discussed, recommendation and actions. We need to be what we need to be. Yes. So dignity and responsibility, that come really under moral things. Keep dignity front of mind and take the responsibility ensuring dignity. Clarity, ensure your being and we understood. We have a clearly report building and the people understand. The responsibility is both, the employer and the employees should take their own responsibility, what they're supposed to. Responsibility to ensure the employees understand what is happening as a positive experience during the meeting regardless of outcome. The grievances meeting is not a confrontation, just we need to be make sure is the compliance procedure fully implemented and the employees should be well aware of, and both parties will take their responsibilities. Any question? Okay, so let's we'll go through this short quiz, is the employment quiz, and just the sake of, for develop our understanding further, that will help, the new legislation and some sort of question will help to clear. Okay, we'll go through the first one. Can we read? Is it readable? Okay, what do you think? What about the express term in the employment contract?
What express terms in the
Number one, A.
Sorry, number one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's correct. Good. Control test to use. What is meant by? Don't worry, just we are clearing our concept. Huh?
Maybe D. I don't. There is a good. Give the
D.
fourth one.
Fourth one, yes.
Yeah.
Well done, correct. Good. Okay, next.
C. Third one.
No. Third one we'll go through, we'll recap. Okay, next.
D.
No, I think it's B.
Oh, you said B. Sorry, I was thinking. Okay, no problem. We'll go through. What about next?
Employees.
Well done, correct.
A.
Okay.
B.
B. Yes. Yes, well done, correct.
It could be D, but it's not clear.
D.
Could be D and could be A.
That is quite, huh? Okay, not. We'll go through. Okay. What is unfair dismissal?
D.
D.
Well done, correct.
B.
Well done, correct.
All of the above.
All of them.
D.
Well done, that's correct. Okay, good. So we'll review. First was right. Second was right. Multiple, the relationship between implied and implied trusted, yes. So that's economics, yes. Financial is independent contractor. Yes.
But that's if the other person knows that the contractor is independent, isn't it?
Yes. So if an independent contractor behave negligent.
Okay.
That was correct. Significant, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's correct. Wrongful dismissal and yes, implied is a breach of contract.
That's what we said. It could be A or D.
Yes, I.
That's right.
What is unfair? That was right. Yes, well done. Okay, great. So today we discuss about three assessment criteria, which we learn. What first was explain the purpose of human resource policy. Of course, key purpose to be run our business smooth and different policies we can make. All about human resource itself, we just want to make sure. 3.2, we discuss about the impact of regulatory and the legal requirement. We discuss about various legislation as a company we must need to follow as an employee. We discuss about contract, different legislation. And 3.3, we discuss about impact of ethical requirement on human resource policies, and we need to be set the moral value, and we're supposed to be follow ethics, and otherwise if we don't, it can lead to the poor performance, demotivation of employees, and that leads to and those all these the learning outcome which is supposed to be addressed. Any question?
No.
Okay.
Great. So next lesson we'll go through next learning outcome, which is supposed to be learning outcome 4. Understand how an organization should manage its flexible working capital, which will go through working capital, what is meant by, and how we can manage in our organization. So, sorry, I'm telling wrong. The fourth learning outcome, according to be able to plan and effective human resource strategies, how we can make and why an organization structure, cultures, and values, which we'll go through, and then will be the last learning outcome, which will go through the following lessons. If any question, feel free. So please drop me email, and my email address is here, anjum@ukversity.co.uk, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Hope so. All will speak you next week, and have a nice weekend, and speak you then.
Yeah. Before you go, I submitted to us